So let's get started. These are the three sheets: the dashboard, the data, and reference we're going to use for the user form to the list box, where we have the full list here, and we're going to make a list here with selected products from the list box inside of the user form. Let's get started. Alt F11 here. Then we're inside Visual Basic, and we're going to start creating a module, and we're just going to call that sub open form. And this module we're gonna use to open the form from this button. So yeah, we might as well attach it here with the macro open form. So now it works. We just have to insert the code. But we also need to create a user form. So insert user form, and then we can change the settings after, and we can just call it dashboard to change the name up here. And now we're ready to write the code here. We call it userform1.show. This is the name of the user form. So now it's gonna open the user form. So far so good. Okay, so now we're gonna set the controls inside the user form. Then we're gonna start with a text here and call this select. And let's change the font size here down to a little bit bigger. So maybe 10. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. And let's also change the color of the user form here to maybe red. Yeah, something like this. We also need to change this. And then let's change the font color to white. Alright, then let's insert a add button here. We're gonna call that add. We're also gonna change the color here on the button to a little bit darker red, that one, and then we can change the font to white, and maybe also make it a little bit bold, and also 10. Then we're gonna copy this, because we're gonna need another one over here that says clear list. And then we're gonna have one down here that says cancel, that will cancel this user form. And another one here that says create list. Then we're gonna have two list boxes here, and this will make sense in a minute. We just need a toolbox here, a list box here, and another list box here. So the idea is that we can add items from this list box to this, and then create a list on a dashboard with a graph. The last thing we want is also a checkbox here, under here, that basically gets the user an option to check this off and choose every product as the selected one. So we don't have to add everything. But that won't make sense in a minute. So let's call this select / deselect all. And get the font white here. Yes, then we're gonna name all the controls, give them right names, and we're gonna set it up more nice. So we're gonna start with this add button and name it control box add, and the next one control box clear list. This one we're gonna call checkbox select all, and then the two list box, we're gonna choose that, call that listbox items, and the other list box we're gonna call that listbox selected items. Then we can just move things a little bit around. Let's change the settings of the user form, the size and position in the middle of the screen. We double tap on the user form, and then we need to find the initializer. There it is. And then insert this code. I'll walk you through what the code does, but I don't want to type the code in manually as we go. I've made another video how you can make your first user form to learn the basics, where I walk you through the settings of the size and the positions of the user form. So you can check that out. It's going to be linked here if you want to learn the basic of a user form. But I'm going to skip this for now in this video to focus on the dynamic dashboard with the list box and a graph. We dimmed center X, center Y, and the last row, all three as long, and we basically set it in the middle by multiplying the size compared to the height and the width to the application, and position it in the center. And then we use this width and height to the user form, which is a good size for this user form. And then we have the list box here, list box items, which is with one column, and it's true that we have the headers, and with this size. What we're gonna change here is it's not gonna be chosen items, it's gonna be selected items. And the row size we're gonna have here from this box B2 to last row, and in the selected items is from C2 to last row 2, which is basically these two lists. So the first list box is the products, and the selected products is going to be written here. We're going to populate this here inside the user form. And we're going to also change the list box size. So let's change it to the height to 162 and the top to 108. And we're gonna move this further down here. So what I did was also changing the two list box to the height 162 and the width, how broad they are, to 108. Let's test how it looks. Yeah, it looks good. We just need to move the two bottoms here a little bit up, and then it looks good. Let's mark the two bottoms here, move it up. Then move the select in a little bit. Maybe something like this. Let's check again. Yeah, now it looks better. Although there is still something here, something small. Let's correct that. Alt F11. Alright, so now we want to populate the sheet here. Whenever we pick the items here, the products, we want to create a list here, because this is going to be the raw source to the selected product on the selected list in the list box in the user form. The way we do that is by adding it here. So the items we select here, when we click add, is gonna be sent over to this list box. Basically creating a list here. These are the selected products we want to make the dashboard about. So we're gonna double tap on the add, and then we're gonna write, let's make some space here. We're gonna dim the last row as long. We're gonna dim X as long. We're gonna dim J as long. And we're gonna dim I as long. These are the variables we need to make this list. Then we're gonna define the last row and set that equals worksheets lists dot cells rows dot count, and from the third column dot end x up dot raw plus 1. We wanted to populate the third column here with the next available row. So if we pick football here, it should write football here. If we pick gym bags, it should write it here because football is here. That's what we wanted to do. Then we're gonna write for x equal 0 to me dot listbox items dot list count -1 if me dot listbox items dot selected x, then we wanted to write it the value in the third column in the next available row. So we're gonna do a worksheets lists dot cells last row column 3 dot value equals me listbox items dot list x, basically what we chose from the list box. Then we're gonna do a last row equal last row plus 1. So the next item will be the next available row. Then we're gonna do a end if, and then next x, the next item we're gonna select. So we need to go into the module that opens the user form, and we're gonna make it clear the list box over the selected products, because we always wanted to open the user form with no items here on the list, because the user needs to pick these from the list box, the first list box, and populate this selected list box. This will make sense in a minute. So we're gonna do a worksheets lists dot range, and that's from C2 to, let's say, C100, just a big number. Dot value equals blank, and then we're gonna dim last row as long and define last row in worksheets lists dot cells rows dot count from the second column dot end Excel up dot row. Then we want to write worksheets lists range equals C2 and C to C and the last row that we defined above, dot value, and that we're gonna set equal lists from the column B. Now let's check it out. And it seems to be working. One thing we can do is, right now we can only choose one at a time from the first list box, but let's fix that. That's very easy. Alt F11, and then we'll go to the list box settings here and change it from multi-select single to the last one, to multiple selected extended. Let's have a look here. And see, it cleared the selected list because we haven't picked anything yet. Soccer balls, running shoes, golf clubs, basketballs. So you see, you can select multiple at a time. Alright, so far it opens up the user form in the right way with the right items here. And this button works. When we select these items, we add them and it goes to this list. So this button works and the user form size and all works. So we need to make this button work, this selected all checkbox work, the cancel and the create lists. So let's fix this button to clear this list. If the user press this button, it should clear the second list box here. We're gonna write worksheets lists dot range C2 to C1000 dot value equals blank. The next one is the cancel, and we can just write unload me because it should just close the user form. And the next thing is the checkbox here to select all the items at once to the second list box. We're gonna double tap on that. We're gonna write if checkbox select all dot value equals true, then it should perform something. And then we're just gonna copy paste this because if the value is false, it should perform something else. Let's make some space here. So if the select checkmark here is selected, then it should write worksheets lists dot range C2 to C200, just a big number, dot value equals worksheets lists dot range B2 to B200 dot value. So basically it should just in column C write the value from the column B. So if the checkbox is checked, selected all, it should basically just do this, perform this. And if it's false, which means if it's unchecked here, it should just clear column C equals blank. So whether this checkbox is checked or not, it will copy the whole list to list number 2, and if it's unchecked, delete the list, which clears the second list box. Now we set all the buttons and checkbox except this one. Let's test it out before we code the last button. It looks good, the outfit. We can again add multiple items here. Can we clear it? Yes, we can. Can we select everything? Yes, it seems to be working. Can we deselect it? Yes. So now it's working. Can we cancel it? Yes. And now we have tested everything we set up so far. We are missing this button, but all the other controls works just fine. Let's just move it up a little bit. Just a little bit. If you like this video, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. I will really appreciate it. It will help my channel grow and I can help more people learning VBA and automate things in Excel. Thank you. All right, let's code this button, create list. Double tap here. Let's just make a lot of space here. The first thing we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that the user has selected products here in order to press this button. Because if this list box is empty, it should come up with a message, please select some products. And the way we're gonna do that is if worksheets lists range C2, if that value equals blank, then we know the list is empty. So we want it to pop up with a message box here saying please select products. And then we want it to exit this up. We say unload me just to test it. Here, please select products, and it closes the Userform. So it works. Open the bottom again. Then we want to dim 5 things. We want to dim dashboard as worksheet, dim list sheets as worksheet, then we're going to dim last row as long. We're going to dim dashboard range as range. And we're going to dim lists range as range. Then we're going to set the reference to the dashboard and the list sheets, the 2 worksheets. So we're going to write it set dashboard sheet equal this workbook dot worksheets dashboard. And the same for the list sheets. Then we just want to clear the whole dashboard here. Every time we run this and create list, it should clear the dashboard and create a new one. So that's what we're gonna do now. Dashboard sheet dot range A6 to G200 value blank. Now it's cleared. Then we're gonna write products from the 7 column here, right here, and in B7. We're gonna write dashboard sheet dot range B7 dot value equals products. Then we're gonna make a line under the text so it looks good. So let's just copy this. Dot line style equals XL continues. Then we're gonna find the last row in the lists. Let's delete this. We should find the last row in column C. So last row equals list sheet dot cells list sheets dot rows dot count comma C dot end Excel dot row. Then we're gonna set the dashboard range as B8. That's where it should copy it to. So we're gonna write set dashboard range equal dashboard sheet dot range B8. And the reason for that is we wanted to write the products from 8th row in B8 and down, because here we have the header we defined before, product with a line under right here. So we want the products to start from B8 and down. Set with set lists range equals list sheets dot range C2 to C and the last row we defined. And then we want to copy the whole list to the dashboard. And we're going to do that by list range dot copy dashboard range. And if we're going to change it here, dashboard range, then you can see it changed it to a big R. Then we know it's the right code. Test it. But before that, we need to spell this correct. Dashboard here. Then we're gonna have dot borders, parentheses, Excel edge bottom. Dot line style equal Excel continuous. And now it should work. Let's test it. Let's just have all the products create list. And now write it. We just need to change it to the red background and the font should be white. We can see here. Now first of all, let's see. Yeah, we didn't choose or select any products. Let's just pick 3 here, add. Then it clears the list and writes the 3. That's how far we are. Alright, the next thing we need the code to do is, now we have the list here. We need to change the colors and the font size, but we're gonna do that as the last thing. But we need to make a SUMIF function that sums of all the products based on this data. And that's what we're gonna do right now. We're gonna insert this VBA code that makes SUMIF on the criteria on the products. I don't want to write it out manually again because I've made another list how to code in VBA the SUMIF function. You can check it up. It's gonna pop up here. You can watch that if you want to learn it. But basically we have to define 2 last rows, one for the products and one for the dashboard. So make it run through the whole list we created on the dashboard and sum the variables up on the different criteria depending on what product we're talking about. And it's gonna look for the values here. So for example, all footballs is gonna sum up these data on footballs and on exercise bikes and all the products that is here on the dashboard. So it starts running through I that starts from 2 to last row and J for 2 to last row 2 in the two sheets. And if the products are equal, the dashboard, if the value is equals there, then it makes a total. It starts with 0 and runs through 2 to last row in column 3 of the product. And if this is equal J, which is the loop in the dashboard, then it's gonna add the total of the product in column 6, which is the numbers here. This is the column 6. Really quick explained. And then it's gonna write the total in the dashboard for each product. I hope that makes sense. If this was too fast of an explanation of the SUMIF, then check that video out. I've made already how to code SUMIF functions. Let's test it out here. Let's just pick all products, and you see it rises here. But I wanted to change the number so it looks better. So let's do that right now. We're gonna write worksheets, dashboard, dot range, C8 to C100 dot style equals comma. Then it should fix the problem. Let's just take 2 products here. So now it looks better. And now we need to change the color of the cells and the font color. Alright, we're just gonna write dashboard sheet dot range, and let's just go from the top, A6 and G200 dot interior dot color equals 255. That's red. And then we're gonna do the white font. So we're just gonna change this to font.color. And then we're gonna use a RGB 255, comma 255, comma 255. And that's how we change the font to white. And then we have the unload here. Let's delete all this space here. And let's test it. Let's select everything, create list, and now it looks good. Let's test another one. No, we didn't select any products. What if we pick 2 here? So now it seems to be working. Let's pick everything again, just to do a quick test. Create list. 9,036,810. That should be the same number here. It's the same. So now we only need to attach a graph to these products. And I was thinking to just make the graph down here, something like this. And let's not make this code any longer. So we're just gonna create a module, and then we're gonna call that module inside this code, just to make it more simple. So we're gonna insert a new module here. Okay, call that sub create graph. And copy this. Just to make it more simple. Then we have a few things we need to dim. Let's start from the beginning. We're gonna dim WS as worksheet. We're gonna dim RNG data as range. Then we're gonna dim last row as long. Then we're gonna dim chart left as double. Then we're gonna dim chart top as double. Then we're gonna dim chart width as double. Then we're gonna dim chart height as double. Then we're gonna dim obj as object. Like this. Then we're gonna set ws as this workbook dot sheets dashboard. That's where we wanted the graph to be. Then we're gonna set last row in column B because that's where the data is on the dashboard. Last row equals ws cells ws rows dot count, and that's column B dot end xlog dot row. Then we're gonna set RNG data equals ws dot range from B8 to C and last row. Like this. I thought it was a mistake. It didn't change the D to a big D. That's why I know I've written it wrong. RNG. Then we're gonna set the settings of the graph. We're gonna write chart left equals ws dot range B7 dot left. And we need the parentheses here. Then we're gonna set the chart top equals ws dot cells last row +2 comma and then column B dot top. Then we're gonna set the chart width equals 375 and the height 225. So now we're gonna set the position, and I can see we are missing an object to be dimmed up here. So we're gonna write dim CHT chart as chart object. Like this. And now we're gonna set that. Set CHT chart equal ws chart object dot add. And then we're gonna do a left colon equals chart left comma width chart width comma top colon equals chart top comma height comma equals chart height. Okay, something is wrong. Let's find out what it is. Something with this chart left comma width Now it should work. Then we're gonna do a with chart dot chart set source data source equals rnd data dot chart type equals xl column clusters, the first one. Okay, then we're gonna do a dot has title equals true. Then we're gonna do a charge title dot text equal sales. That's just the name of the title of the chart. Then we're gonna set the series dot series collection 1 is the object dot name equal ws dot range. Then we're gonna set it to b7 dot value. And then we're gonna set the area where the chart is dot chart area dot format dot fill dot forecolor dot reb equals rab 0, 255, 0, which is the green color we're gonna set on the graph. Enter. Then we're gonna do an end with, and that's it. To write the T here, then you also change it to W. So now it should be working. Then we're gonna call this module at the end of this code. So it creates a graph to the dashboard before it unloads the user form. Create graph dot create graph. That's how we call it, because the module is called create graph here, and the sub code here is also called create graph. Let's test it now. Open form. Let's pick 3 products here. Add, create list. And now we have the graph. Sales, products, soccer balls, yoga mats, exercise bikes. The only thing we need to do now is to delete this graph before we run the macro, because if you're gonna make a new dashboard here by opening the form, let's say just pick one product, basketball hoops, then it writes the graph on top of the old one. We don't want that, so let's write a code that deletes the graph so the dashboard works. We're gonna insert a new module. We call it sub delete all charts. Then we're gonna dim ws at worksheet. We're gonna dim obj as object. That's the graph. Then we're gonna set the ws as this workbook worksheet's dashboard. Then we're gonna write for each obj in ws chart objects, this one, object delete. Next object. Next object. That's it. And then we're gonna name this module also with the same name here. So it's called delete all charts. in the module, but also in the name of the sub. And then we're gonna place it inside this button right after this. Remember, so if the list box is empty, it tells you please select products. But if the list box is not empty, the first thing it should be doing is deleting these objects, these graphs. Right, let's test it to see if the whole dashboard works. All right, let's just pick all the products, create list, and boom, it seems to be working. We just pick one product. And you see, it's working. You see, it works now. Like this video if you learned something, and make sure to subscribe. I'm planning to do more step-by-step videos on how you can learn VBA and create dynamic dashboards, automate your task in Excel. And then I will see you in the next video.